All right, Lions fans, we're coming back with another video. This is your guy. I'm not a Lions fan, but we got something to talk about. Um, I want to start out the gate by saying that the Lions is coming. Once again, the Lions is coming. Once again, the Lions are coming. One more. The Lions are coming. With that being said, the Lions are here. We're talking on Trey Flowers right now. Okay, we're gonna talk on Trey Flowers. Why how I love the signing when we signed him last offseason. Some people said that was a bit much. I I get that, but I'm gonna point out one thing about why the signing was so great. And there's also a thing I want to talk about, like how I basically call him the leader of the team. Now, you can have two types of leaders. And I often use the Pistons going to work team as my template. You had Ben Wallace and you had Chauncey. Now, the building block was Ben Wallace. He was there before Chauncey. But at the same time, Chauncey was the vocal leader. He was the guy that led the charge, so to speak. But the foundation was built off of Ben Wallace. The hard work, the tenacity, the don't quit mentality, don't back down. He brought that mentality how he was treated from his brothers. I don't know if he's the youngest, but I believe he's somewhere there, somewhere around there, and they pretty much, you're the youngest, so you're gonna get the the rough end of the stick. So, but a little backstory on Ben Wallace. I think it was something on the lines of he was playing for Virginia Union, I believe, and or it was a pickup game. I'm not sure. I forgot how it goes. And he was going up against at the time Charles Oakley, not in college, but I think had to be like a pickup game or something like that. And his brothers was in the stands and so forth, and Charles Oakley was getting the best of him. He was pushing him around, and as the story goes, he looked up to the stands as in like, "Y'all got my back," and they gave him the nod, like, "Yeah, we got your back." And he just, I don't know what he did to Charles Oakley, but he stood his ground, so to speak. And that is like the cusp of how Ben Wallace became like so strong. What Rasheed Wallace called him is he called him body because he was like 2% body fat. And the thing about Ben Wallace that I love is that he of course you could go with the heartfelt story that he's undrafted and so forth. He had to earn his keep. He had to do everything. You couldn't ask for a better foundation than that. Of course, Joe Dumars didn't know what he was getting. Now, the person that's listening to this will say, like, what does that have to do with Trey Flowers? Well, the comparison that I have with Trey Flowers is just the same. Uh, Ben Wallace is like a no nonsense type of guy. He is like he don't have to say a lot. His presence speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I don't know him personally or nothing like that, but in terms of how he conducted on the court, and I say the same such thing as Trey Flowers. Now, with going back to the Pistons with Chauncey and Ben, you would call it the heart and soul of the team. If Ben Wallace is the soul of the team, then Chauncey is the heart. The team, or you could do it vice versa, however you want to put it together. And I say the same thing about Trey Flowers and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford has been here since I can remember, so he's been here for quite some time, and he is like a lot of fans or a lot of people may deem him as the leader. I just don't. I believe he's like Bill Laimbeer to Rick Mahorn. Like Bill Laimbeer was kind of like a pushover. when he got here, when he was traded from Cleveland to here. He was a pushover, a little bit. But it's interesting because when they traded for Rick Mahorn, I think they got him from Washington, and all of a sudden he it's like he had, I don't know, he developed some kind of chemistry with Rick, Bill Lambier and Rick Mahorn. And as the story goes, Rick Mahorn didn't want to be traded here. Well, who wanted to come to Detroit? So, but as time goes on, he began to to adapt and like it, to sort of speak. But in during that time, he developed a little chemistry with Bill Lambier, and all of a sudden, this grit, this toughness came out of Bill Lambier. Like, I'm not trying to say he was a pushover beforehand, but I, I say he was a pushover to the degree that he stood his ground, but nowhere near to the extent after him and Rick Mahorn bonded. And I look at the same sort of thing as with Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford is like the guy that you've been here. And when I say he's not the leader or he doesn't have to lead the team, like I said in prior videos, what I mean by that is that he's in a position to be carried. Look at the assets that he have around him, from the general manager to the coach to the coordinators, particularly the offensive coordinator. And look at the players, the personnel that he have on offense, the offensive line, and even the supporting cast to back him up on the defense. Stafford don't have to carry the team. That's why I say he don't have to be. That's what I meant by he don't have to be the leader of the team in that sense. All he has to do is do what like Chauncey did. Chauncey didn't have to like lay down foundation, to like, okay, this is how we're gonna do it, or let his work show on the practice, whatever. That was Ben Wallace built that structure, and I think Trey Flowers built that last year. What I mean about Trey Flowers, and definitely this is going to the comparison of Ben Wallace. He's a quiet nonsense type of guy, no nonsense type of guy. He's a quiet, no nonsense type of guy, and he just, hey, I just come here to do work. Doesn't that sound like Ben Wallace? But what I'm saying is that when Trey Flowers was he came, he got signed, and he signed that, of course, that massive contract, and the fans are looking for him to be like the most dominant defensive player of all time, to whatever, and all that good stuff, because of the size of the contract. But I'm gonna express like why I feel, or why how I see that, how his contract is really no big deal, and how he will, you know, I don't want to say outperform his contract. And even though it's a massive contract, I think it was like 90 million, something like that. But I'm going to show you how he's going to outperform it. Now, when he got here, he was coming in off of injury. And I don't know if it was his pec muscle. I don't know what it was, but he coming in off of injury, so he didn't get a chance to do a lot of training camps, a lot of different things, and and so forth. So he was basically on the sideline a lot. So the fans were getting disgruntled about it because the money, right? We want to see the product. So he comes back in, I guess, in practice or I don't know if it's preseason or the first game. I don't know how, whichever way that he did. But when he came back, there was really not much of a getting in shape time. You know what I mean? Because he was sidelined for the majority of the time because of his injury. So, but he came in and immediately went to work. He immediately gave impact. I think the first game he came back, he got a sack or something like that. And like I said, I'm not a statistic guy or X and O's guy. I can draw it up if you want, but at the same time, I pretty much look at the heart of the player. In most cases, the heart would succeed past the talent. So I'm looking at him. That first game back, he shows the impact. And I think through the course, he didn't play a good chunk of the season. I don't know how it works. I don't know if he played a good chunk of the season, but he was basically playing pretty much not properly 100% healthy. And I think he came out with 6 sacks. Never mind the pressures. Not to mention the pressures that he could have gotten, or the quarterback hits and so forth, and all that impact that he could draw on double teams. Now, mind you, he didn't have nobody working aside of him. But Ashawn Robinson, Mike Daniels, Snacks Harris, Deshaun Hand, where was everybody? It was just Trey. And if it was just Trey by himself to some degree, I'm not discounting anybody that was lined up with him. Whatever. But if you're coming back not fully healthy and you getting 6 sacks with pretty much no help, you're getting double teamed and you're getting six. Come on, man, get away from me. And what I mean by that is that he goes to work. That's why I say between what I saw from that when he came back from the injury and he made an impact, not having a full off season and stuff like that. He made an impact. And then he gets, of course we know about the play in Green Bay and how he get called for 2 penalties for basically something he didn't do, but it's just like how he handled it. I looked at Ben Wallace like how he handled certain things. Like when they interviewed him about when they was going to the finals and playing against Shaq, he said, I want to do. I think the words were, "I'm going to do the best I can against the big fella," type deal. But in other words, he's like, I'm not scared." Shaq is bigger than me, but Shaq heart is not bigger than Ben's. People look at his size and think his heart is that big. Nah, his heart's not that big. Ben Wallace has a huge heart, and it like supersedes past his height. So he wasn't scared of Shaq, even though Shaq was pushing him around a little bit. He was working him a little bit, but nowhere near to where he could have, based upon the size differential. You know, and I say the same thing about Trey. Trey is like, we're gonna get back to work. I mean, they called the call, I adjusted, and after the adjustment, they called it again. Hey, what can I do? We're gonna get back to work. That's your foundation. So I'm not gonna say anything about with Stafford being the foundation. He could just be the heart. He could just be Chauncey Billups. And what I mean by that, he could just, hey, put everybody in place, not in their place, but put everybody in place. Just be the icing on the cake. Just direct everybody where they need to be. You're the vet. You've been here the longest. You're not just for the sake of saying that you're the quarterback and you're supposed to lead the team. He's in a position to do it. I mean, his offensive weaponry, is massive. And so I say that to definitely point direction at this recent transaction with the Vikings when they picked up, I think his name is Inyakwe, and they picked him up, and it could be just same. It could be the same impact as like when Khalil Mack went to the Bears. But I'm gonna say it again: the Lions is coming. The Lions is coming. The Lions is coming. Ain't nobody scared of the Vikings, man. Ain't nobody scared of the Bears. And I say that because if the Vikings defense have had the Lions has the Lions number for years, ain't nobody scared of that. Ain't nobody scared of that. I in the last video that when I was talking about Jeff Okuda, I made mention about 5 players that Jeff Okuda that he has to play with on the defensive side of the ball. It's like he got 5 big brothers on the side of the ball. You know what I mean? And all he has to do is just do what he did when he was at Ohio State. Now, with that 5, I'm not including Deshaun Hand. I'm not Okora. I'm not including, you know, um, Jelani Tavai and nothing like that. I'm not including that. Or Amari Warrior. I'm not Justin Coleman and stuff like that. I'm not including all that. I'm just including those basic 5. Trey, Jamie, Deron, Desmond, and Tracy. You give me that. And we can go to work with the Bears offense, with the Vikings offense. We go to war with that. Just with that. Everybody else that fills in, they do their part. I got my money on the Lions. Now, somebody said like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with Yahweh going over there and with already a established defensive coordinator who believes that he have never had a bad defense. All right, but he have never played against a great offense in the Lions. He have played with a Stafford being hurt or uh, a depletion in the offensive line, or it has never been a full capacity. He have never played with a healthy Stafford, a healthy run game, a healthy, a dominant offensive line, a bona fide star in a tight end. Never mind. No, let me say that. A bona fide star in a receiver in Galladay, and upcoming star in tight end in Hawkinson. He have never dealt with that. He better hope that what he puts together, blitzing wise, whatever, that he gonna get pressure on. He better hope. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna put my money on Big V, Jonah, Ragnow, whoever plays that left guard, and Decker. I put my money on that. I put my mouth on that. I ain't gonna say money. I put my mouth on that. I back that up with that. I deal with the Khalil Max and the Yakways and all that good stuff. I deal with that. And you know, as you notice, I didn't mention the Packers, but if you notice that, I'm not saying that the Minnesota Vikings made that move because of the Lions. They made that move because it was a smart move to make. If you have the capital, you know, to make the type of move, you take it. But it don't pose no threat to me. Why? Because I got Trey Flowers. Now, a person may say like you bank on Trey Flowers like he Reggie White or somebody. You know, I'm saying the impact that he brings by himself, just by himself. Now he got help. He don't have another name like there's a house, you know, like a the popular name. He got players that know how to play, and that's all you need. And this is Detroit. This is not no other city. Detroit don't have like the big names. We have like the names that we develop. I mean, who knew about Ben Wallace, right? Who knew about Ben Wallace? Who knew about Bill Lambert? Who knew about Dennis Rodman? You know what I mean? Who knew about this? Well, who knew about Rip Hamilton? Who knew about Chauncey Billups? Who knew about that? Who knew about a Tayshawn? You know, but they brought it all. They brought all that together. They knew about Rashid, just like they knew about Isaiah, but that's about far as you got. Everybody else, they came together. And Detroit has always been a city for any championship that came out of us or that came from us, regardless of what professional sport that it is, they had to come together. Now you may have the exception with the Red Wings with Gordie Howe and so forth and all that, and you know, but back then that the Detroit was booming and they had their pick of the litter of who they, you know, how they wanted to build it, with building with all that good stuff. Well, you know, I'm not much of a hockey follower, but I don't know. But the Pistons and the Tigers and the Lions, they had to build that. The Kirk Gibsons, the Jack Morris, the Lou Whitakers, the Alan Trammels, they had to build that to get the 84 title. They had to build that. That's in house. And the same thing with the Lions. So anyway, with that being said, we're talking on Trey Flowers and like how his impact is. All Trey Flowers needed was there's some help. You put the building block. They put the building block in place when they signed him. Everything else, he was like the Pudge Rodriguez deal. Was Pudge like Cabrera? No, he was not. Cabrera is a different league, but without Pudge, you're not getting Cabrera. And then Dombrowski made a few other moves to complement the Pudge, right? The Pudge move. Same thing with the Lions going to do. I mean, this team is beautiful. This team, and I'm not a Lions fan. You know what I mean? Nah, it just how they assembling this team. It just beautiful. I mean, I love how they brought in Jamie Collins and Deron Harmon. And I wasn't on the train of Trufant because I didn't know too much about him. But then I believe it was a gentleman on the DSA. You know, they mentioned about Trufant, and then I started looking at him a little bit, and I'm not looking at him for like for him to be how he was maybe like 5 years ago or something like that. I'm looking at him in terms of like his impact on the game still at the age that he is. What he can do that it doesn't have anything to do with age. That's between his ears, his head, his mind. And man, I love the move. I love the move. It's a mature move. It's a championship. It's a contender type move. You know, just like when the Pistons brought in Eldon Campbell and Darvin Ham and who was the other one? Lindsey Hunter. Well, like those moves. What are those moves? Those are veteran guys who have like they know how to play off of another player. They know how to do exactly what you need them to do, and they know how to fit a part, a role. You know what I mean? If I brought Eldon Campbell in just in case we had to play against the Lakers, I need a big body. Bam. He know exactly what to do with that. I need some energy and some toughness. I got Darvin Ham. If I need a gritty nose defender, give me Lindsey Hunter. But they not any one of them are starting. No, but those are complementary pieces to your anchors. And Deron Harmon, Trufant, Collins, and I don't know if I mentioned all of them, but they're complements to and I really forgotten this one. I forgot to mention Danny Shelton. These pieces is like great for Trey Flower. Can you imagine those players with the team that we had last year? And what I'm saying with the team that we had last year, minus Darius Slay and Diggs, right? Minus those two. So those players that we brought in this year, imagine that team. Imagine them on the team last year when we couldn't close out those games that we going into the fourth quarter, and I think it's like 13 games that we go into the fourth quarter with the lead. Just imagine we had those players and they was healthy. Just them being in the locker room changes the atmosphere of being mediocrity, of being 9-7 or 8-8. Changes that automatically. They have championship pedigree. They have earned their stripes. They have been to the mountaintop and lost. They have been to the mountaintop and won multiple times, stuff like that. So they've been around the atmosphere where I think the worst thing that ever can happen to a player is basically getting to the title game and lose. A person say like, well, what about never getting there at all? You never got there. You never knew what you missed. You just can say that you never got there. But if you got there and you failed, look how much what it took to get there, and you didn't succeed. That is like to me, for me personally, that's like the worst of worst. That's worse than never getting there at all. You get there, you're good enough to get there, but you wasn't good enough to do what you had to do to get And they all was in that situation. Danny Shelton, Deron Harmon, um, uh, um, Trey Flowers, Jamie Collins. They all was there, and they was all there together. And you bringing that together here, man? Please. All right, that's my little piece on Trey. Trey's the guy. He is the leader. They built it off of him last year. And Matthew Stafford is just the guy. I mean, not just the guy, but he is he is like your Chauncey Billups now. You take him off this team, and you the same thing would happen when the Pistons lost Chauncey. Same thing would happen with the Pistons. I mean, same thing happened with the Lions that they lost Matthew Stafford. Now, but if you have them on that team with the Ben Wallace, you saw as far as they can get. All Matthew Stafford have to do, he don't have to carry the team anymore. He has a well-oiled machine. All he has to do is just lead the team in victory. Just be Matthew Stafford. Make the play when you need to make the play. Make the drive when you need to make the drive. Direct the plan, direct the players, put them in position in the locker room, outside the locker room. Just be that front guy. You know what I mean? You don't have to do the groundwork. You already got that cast to do that. That's already a simple. With that being said, I salute Lion fan.